Hi, everyone. Welcome to Leisrealtalk. The weekend is right around the corner. How's everyone doing? Good? All right. Okay, let's get started. What a topic today. Who's ready to revolt? Are you guys ready? All right, let's see who's ready in China. Well, in the past couple of years, protests have erupted almost daily across China, involving people from all walks of life, including bank depositors who lost their savings, homeowners still waiting for homes that they've already paid for, and people demanding back pays. Um, with relentless infighting among the leadership, a worsening economy, rising unemployment, frequent social revenge incidents, and the mass exodus of wealthy people, China appears to be plunging into chaos. Some believe that the country is on the verge of sparking a revolution. After a series of recent mass protests, the Chinese are increasingly organized in their opposition to the government. Some have openly called for CCP to step down, and others advocate for non-cooperation with the authorities. Some groups are even pushing to establish their own courts and law enforcement systems. And what Beijing fears the most is individuals beginning to make their own weapons. So today I will first give you the case studies of two recent mass protests to show you how people are getting more organized and are getting ready for large scale actions. And then I will share with you a Taiwanese media report that was published yesterday, which gives insight into two distinct groups of people in China who are, which are contemplating rebellion. And they're waiting for two specific scenarios to act. Okay, so first things first, the two case studies. Last November, remember these images? College students in Zhengzhou, Henan organized a mass night ride movement. On the surface, it's a large number of young people riding their bikes to Kaifeng to eat steamed buns, and it's for fun. Anyone with knowledge of China knows it's a soft protest against the government and the suppressive environment by the young people. The movement attracted some people from other walks of life. I remember playing you a video showing young veterans joining the night ride movement. And it also attracted students from other cities like Beijing. And then a few days after the authorities stopped the student movement, a distraught student in a vocational school who was forced to work in a sweatshop and not paid by the school I think it was in Wuxi. Yeah, it was in Wuxi city, committed random acts of violence and killed at least 8 people. So following these two incidents, vocational school students in Guangzhou were greatly encouraged. They were distraught in one scenario and encouraged by the students in Kaifeng, in Henan. So they started a quiet revolution by putting up handwritten notices in public places. And I have shown you these notices that they put out. And one of them said this. It reads, "We have long been paying attention to social disturbances and understood our society has been sitting on a power keg. Under the CCP's rule, no one can escape. For us vocational school students, we're at the very bottom and the most marginalized. Our suffering is boundless." And then it calls on fellow citizens. It's time for us to rise up and resist. We have decided not to become the next perpetrators, nor the slaves of our government. So we organize ourselves in dormitories, hand-wrote flyers to distribute, and the emotions ran high. Let us all rise together to overthrow the Communist Party and build a new life. And it's signed by social revolutionaries of Guangzhou. Their action has been echoed by workers who put up similar notices saying, "Down with the CCP and the capitalists protected by the CCP. Let's take action and let everyone, especially Xi Jinping, to take a look. We're not weak, nor easily abused. We won't want to be the next perpetrator who kills. We want a dynastic change." So that was then. Now this January, you've seen these images, right? This happened. It started around the New Year's, and it lasted until I think around the 5th or the 6th. So after massive riots over the death of a 17-year-old vocational school student erupted in Pengcheng, Shanxi province, over 10,000 people fought with the police in a multi-day revolt. The authorities shut down the internet, closed highways, and forbade people from leaving home. The city's hotels were said to be full of out-of-town policemen. The authorities then spread the word that the crisis in Pengcheng was over. But in reality, it wasn't. A local resident sent a letter to an activist based outside China, and the letter was posted on X. And this is what it reads. It says, "Roads around the school are under control, and entrances to various communities are guarded, preventing residents from leaving. However, we want you to know that we have not given up. We simply lack communication signals. Everything is just beginning. A signal jammer has been deployed in Pucheng, but we have already established a militia self-defense organization. Here's a brief update on our current situation." So the letter is quite long. I just kind of summarize it. It basically said, "We have established 20 alliance bases radiating from the vocational school, covering key institutions or organizations like power plants, transportation hubs, schools, and residential areas. And the idea is that if one base is taken down or destroyed, we regroup at another, dispersing armed police forces, and if necessary, disrupting railways and roads." And it says each base is divided into 12 units with teams of 3 to 7 people in each unit. And this design is to allow flexibility and mobility. And it says that their primary targets are the county government, court, and police station. And then they also plan to create a detention center or a prison for unlawful police officers. They also want to set up a temporary people's court. It says ultimately their goal is to establish a militia self-defense organization capable of dispersing and regrouping, supporting the temporary people's court. And it says that this will enable them to protect their interests, hold authorities accountable, and push for changes in the current system. Now, the people who wrote the above letter oppose the local government, but are not against Xi Jinping. They somehow believe that Xi Jinping will endorse their action. I don't know if they actually believe that, or they wrote it so that the central government, so they're not like totally, anti-government. So maybe they wrote it in a way that the central government will not perceive them as totally anti-CCP. I don't know if these people have been cracked down by the government already, or if they've turned completely underground. I also do not know the status of the students in Guangzhou who put up their open letters, or if they are well. However, their actions, even if they have failed, have inspired others. And I have always suspected, they're not the only Chinese who are getting organized to oppose the government. But I didn't know any other ones, or I couldn't confirm my suspicion until yesterday. So yesterday, let me just show you this. Independent political commentator Du Zhen published an article in Taiwan's Up Media. He described the two groups of people waiting for an opportunity to rise up in China. Let me come back. So he mentioned that in 2022, an entrepreneurial friend of his from China, who was an entrepreneur in the culture industry, confided in him about a circle within the country composed of discrete dissidents. And this circle of people, were mainly business people, but they also included some mid-level government officials and even police officers. They frequently used secure communication software to discuss their plans. And whenever possible, they sought to educate Chinese public about democracy. And some of these individuals participated in the anti-zero COVID or anti-lockdown white paper movement, which led to many young people getting into trouble. Some fled China, including Mr. Du's friend. However, others, either unable or unwilling to leave China, choose to stay in the country and are waiting for an opportunity to do something or to take actions. Now, this group aspires to bring changes to China through nonviolent means, such as non-cooperation. They believe that when significant changes occur in China, they will be ready to respond. This is one group of people who are secretly waiting for the right moment to take actions. There's another group, and those are the individuals who advocate for an armed rebellion. Mr. Du believes that an armed uprising, particularly within the CCP's military, is what the authorities fear the most. And one of his friends' relative, who works in one of the military command military theaters, recently disclosed the following to Mr. Du. So the friend said, the morale of the Chinese military is shaky. The military is in shambles. Officer ranks are often purchased. The last two directors of the political work department of the CMC, the Military Central Military Commission, Zhang Yang and Miao Hua, have fallen from power. And these two have been handling all personnel changes and all promotions within the PLA. And he said low-rank officers and soldiers, and probably those who don't have the means or the money to bribe their superiors for a promotion, are very disappointed or discouraged. Indeed, some officers are contemplating to follow suit of the 1912 Wuchang uprising. You know, the Wuchang uprising ultimately ended the Qing dynasty, the imperial China, and started the Republic of China. So Mr. Du said these officers are waiting for the right moment to act. So there are two key moments. So now let's talk about what are they waiting for? Well, there are two key moments for potential uprising. according to Mr. Du, or according to his sources from inside China. So according to his friend, a military uprising will likely wait for one of the two critical moments. The first one is a high-stakes situation where the CCP launches a military attack on Taiwan. And the second one is chaos within the CCP as a result of Xi Jinping's sudden demise or death, or get seriously ill, right? So that's what these people are waiting for. Either the CCP launching a war, attacking Taiwan, or Xi Jinping suddenly die or becomes gravely ill or incapacitated. So these two are the situations these people are waiting for, for an armed rebellion. Now, of course, I cannot confirm if that's true, but that's what Mr. Du said in his opinion piece. But there are other indications suggesting Beijing is indeed very concerned with armed rebellions. So on November 14th of last year, which is only 2 months ago, China's Ministry of Public Security held a press conference warning about individuals sharing instructions online for manufacturing firearms or making firearms, stating that violators would face criminal charges. An official at the press conference said, there are numerous individuals online illegally sharing and teaching methods for making firearms and explosives, illegally trading firearm components and explosive materials. The authorities aren't concerned with criminals obtaining this information to make weapons, but are seriously concerned with those who are planning armed uprisings. Because the news sparked widespread attention in China, people asked why the government is so nervous. The CCP's press conference inadvertently brought the issue of an armed uprising to the forefront of people's attention, because people are smart. People can figure out what the paranoia is all about. Earlier this year, in Guangshui City, Hubei province, local authorities faced strong opposition over their enforcement of mandatory cremation policies and mandatory purchases of burial plots in rural China. And during the May Day holiday, thousands of protesters, most of them are farmers, including elderlies, staged demonstrations, blocking roads and demanding the police to cancel the policy. Now, people in rural China, the farmers, they don't have the money to pay for cremation, and they also don't have the money to buy government endorsed burial grounds. I mean, they just don't have the money. I mean, their practice, they just bury their loved ones in the vast land of the countryside, and that's what they do. And now it's the new policy forced them to pay, and they don't want to. So a villager who were on site during the protest told the Epoch Times in an interview that they were preparing to obtain firearms, saying, even if the government bans it, we can still get them. I found that quote that it's quite something. So they're saying that we have to get this. It was quite a clash between the local farmers, and actually this issue has been going on for quite some time. this issue, the government, the farmers against government policies in regarding regarding people's burial has been a serious struggle in rural China for the past year. All right, so now speaking of guns and weapons, we need to address armed uprising and unrest within the military. So since the corruption scandals in the Rocket Force broke out the year before last, numerous senior military officials or officers in the officials and officers in the defense ministry have fallen. The investigation continues to expand, though much of it remains or has remained shrouded in secrecy by the authorities. In my last week's program, I spoke about another missing general, the commander of the PLA's armed police force, Wang Chunning, and he would be the 7th general to be sacked since Xi Jinping started his 3rd term. By general, I mean the highest ranking general in the PLA. You have the lieutenant general and then you have the major general. If you include all of them, I think there were 17 of them. No, 20 something. But the highest ranking Shangjiang, there were 7 already so far since October 2022. And then on December 25th, last year, former deputy commander of the army, You Haitao, and the commander of the Navy in the Southern Theater Command, Li Pengchen, were removed from their positions at the People's Congress. I mean, the announcement only addressed the removal from the People's Congress. It didn't mention, what has happened to them within the PLA. But this marks the 2nd consecutive Southern Theater Navy commander to be removed, as the previous commander, Ju Xingchun, was also stripped of his People's Congress position 1 year ago at the end of 2023. So the Southern Theater Navy is a hot mess. And even the PLA Daily has inadvertently revealed its internal crisis. On December 23rd, 2024, the PLA Daily published an article addressing issues in the management of the lower rank, it addressed issues in lower level troop management. It highlighted problems such as the lack of discipline and lax management. The article specifically stressed the problem of scaling the wall. Scaling the wall is a term referring to people or the action that bypasses the Great Firewall to access uncensored information on the internet. And so this report indirectly admitted that violating internet policies has become widespread among military personnel. So think about it. If military servicemen are bypassing internet restrictions on a large scale, right? They scale the wall. Many of the CCP's lies are exposed. I mean, the only reason the CCP can mobilize its military is because of lying to them, brainwashing them, forcing them to believe that there are formidable enemies that are, seriously threatening the country and the stability of the country. I mean, that's what the CCP has relied on to control the military. But if these people are able to get outside, get over jump over the firewall and then access uncensored information, then they would know what's really happening. And this is threatening. So that's why the PLA Daily had a special article addressing this problem. The article also mentioned cracking down on inappropriate relationship among military personnel. Now, Mr. Du interpreted this as the CCP fearing that soldiers might be networking and preparing for uprisings. Recently, various predictions have been circulating wildly in China, including speculations about Xi Jinping's upcoming downfall, his health issues, and a potential war in the Taiwan Strait. But if you really think about it, these rumors or speculations are tied to the two conditions in which some of these officers are preparing to revolt, right? So you wonder where those rumors come from. Mr. Du believes the rumors about Xi Jinping's losing power and health problems reflect public sentiment, while the latter, he said, it's still uncertain. It could be just a pure rumor. Maybe people are, maybe the PLA office, some PLA officers are almost like begging Xi Jinping to start a military operation so they have a chance to revolt. So I found the information in this article important because he noted the emergence of two key groups, one composed of business people and government officials, and the other of soldiers and military personnel. One group has money and to some extent power within the government, and the other group has weapons. These are the two major forces. One advocates nonviolent resistance, while the other supports a more militant approach. Both are waiting for the right moment for them to act. So if these two groups are to connect or stage a coordinated effort, I think CCP is finished. Now, whether it's a CCP military invasion of Taiwan or Xi Jinping's sudden demise, both scenarios would disrupt the current power structure and social order in China. And when it happens, authoritarian governments collapse faster than we expect. One example is Syria. The former Syrian president fled to Russia on December the 8th. 2 weeks prior to that, if anyone told him that he would lose all power within 2 weeks and be forced to flee to Russia, he would have to dismiss it as absurd. However, the speed at which his government disintegrated surprised many people. Looking at the situation in mainland China now, the Chinese PLA is in a bigger mess. If Xi Jinping is still dreaming of attacking Taiwan, I think his ambition is self-destructive. Now, let me talk about military purges. The military purges that he has done actually leave the leaders in fear. The more he purges people in the military, the more fears he has. His military purges has spiraled out of control. The scale of Xi Jinping's purges has surpassed even Mao Zedong's. It has left PLA leaders in a state of constant fear because they have observed that those who are loyal to Xi Jinping are not safe either. So while loyalty to Xi once seemed like a safeguard or a protection, now individuals considered part of Xi's inner circle, such as Miao Hua and the two defense ministers, have been targeted and removed. So there's no safety. They don't feel safe one way or the other, right? So many of them are biding their time, preparing for a coup similar to the 1912 Wuchang uprising to end Imperial China or to end the Red China. So I think for those reasons, I think Xi Jinping is aware of that. I think a military invasion of Taiwan is not feasible. And Xi Jinping is aware that China's strength pales in comparison to the United States. And the CCP's military is too corrupt, too demoralized at this point to withstand a serious conflict. So the next question is, if something were to happen, or something is going to happen to Xi Jinping, and let's say he suddenly becomes incapacitated, chaos would erupt within the party due to the lack of a clear line of succession. Technically, Premier Li Qiang, ranking second in the hierarchy, would take over. But Li doesn't control the military, nor does he control the central secret service. The secret service agency is called what? Central Security Service Bureau, right? Nor does he control any other officials. So he's a figurehead with very little power. So if Xi Jinping, if something happens to him, there are other ambitious figures such as Cai Qi, the minister of the public security, Wang Xiaohong, the minister of the state security, Chen Yixing, and there you have Zhang Youxia, the vice chairman of the CMC, and then the other vice chairman, He Weidong. So these people, some of them control the military, others control the police, and some control the Central Security Service Bureau. If they all seek to assert dominance, an ugly power struggle is inevitable after Xi Jinping becomes incapacitated. I don't know if something happens to him. And if someone initiates a coup, the CCP's entire regime could unravel. And this is the opportunity the military is waiting for. And interestingly, many people are also waiting for such an event to take place. Many people are waiting for the moment when Chinese citizens, pushed to the brink, take to the streets. This can be another turning point for China's for a change. So I think this is the third scenario. So the first is war. The second is something happens to Xi Jinping. And the third, I think, is adding to Mr. Du's two scenarios, is if there's a mass movement taking place in China, or there's a mass protest happening, then it could also trigger a political coup within China. So with that, I hopefully I have explained to you who are preparing to revolt in China. All right, that's all. Let's see if people have questions for me. Okay, I saw some colorful stickers flash by, and they look lovely, I must say. Where are they? Did I see them? Oh, here we go. Sir Humphrey. Thank you, sir. Hi, Lei. Thank you for the insight into the current dynamic situation in China. I hope the CCP solution, if things get serious, for their grip on power isn't an invasion of Taiwan. It will harm us all. Well, I mean, according to Mr. Du's source in China, by the time any harm is made on Taiwan or on us, the PLA, some PLA officers would turn around, and start to revolt, so that military operation could become an internal one, and not so much external one. So it will be interesting. So I think, yeah, before it gets to the level that it could make serious harm on Taiwan or on us, it could become an ugly civil war within the PLA. That's according to Mr. Du's source. And I agree with him. I certainly, I think his assessment and it does, it does feel like that. I mean, the PLA is very demoralized, um, and that's precisely the reason why the CCP does not provide its military personnel with ammunitions and weapons. Even in training, they try to avoid that, precisely because of this issue. And this is precisely the reason why Miao Hua is arrested, because he has the theory. He was the one who has the theory that a war in the Taiwan Strait will actually empower the PLA to be in a better position to oppose Xi Jinping. So that's why he's for war. He's not against war, because he figured that's their only way out. Fro Featherstone. I love that name. Thank you. Thank you, Fro. All right, let's see. Okay. Oh, another YouTube channel. Thank you. I commented my points earlier. All right. I didn't see that. Daniel McGinnis. Am I saying it right? Okay. All right. Oh, here's a question forwarded by Chris from Ash Hedda. Lei, your research is exceptional. Your observation and analysis is noteworthy. I make attempt to listen as many of your podcasts. Well, thank you for noticing that. For example, like today's talk, I mean, it took me a while to make, because I have been noticing, it was very interesting when I saw, I told you about the Pucheng uprising at the beginning of the year, and then it was put down by the authorities. But then I saw these notes sending out from the local people and saying that how they are organizing themselves in this group of 3 to 7 people. They've established 12 bases, and they have a plan. I mean, these people are obviously getting organized. But when I saw that, I took note, but I didn't feel it's compelling enough to tell you, because it's just one case. And how do I know if it's valid? So there has to be overwhelming evidence or patterns of certain things happening before I can gather them all and make hopefully a strong case to convince you that there are people actively preparing to revolt. So when I read Mr. Du's article yesterday, I feel like I'm convinced it's not 1 or 2 isolated groups of people doing that in China. There is something is going on there. So I just explained to you my logic or my thinking behind the scene. So sometimes it takes a while for me to observe and read and think and figure out what's going on. Sometimes I find something, other times I find nothing. Excellent. All right, Daniel McGinnis. Well, thank you, Daniel. Okay, let's see. Oh, by the way, the link to Mr. Du's article is in the description, and you can read it. Boycott China. Lei, have you noticed increased censorship of anti-CCP comments on this platform the past few weeks? Love you. Yes, I've noticed that. I noticed my views suddenly tanked. Like all of a sudden, I'm getting less views of my programs compared to previous programs. I don't understand why. I hope it's not YouTube. I hope it's not YouTube doing something, because they shouldn't. Why are they on the side of the CCP? It defies logic. It's no longer a political issue within the US. There's a global consensus, right, regarding the danger CCP poses. So why is YouTube helping the CCP, censoring people like me? I hope it's not. I hope it's my, I don't know what it is. I thought I did a good job in the past couple of few weeks, or at least my quality didn't tank, but my views certainly did. Yeah, so is my income. Anyways, I don't know. Here's a question from BF. If not being paid for 6 months or more, why do both workers and officials keep working without being paid? Only after 2 years are they now complaining? I don't know what you're referring to. Who are the officials and workers? I'm not quite sure if I understand your questions. All right. Al, Lei, you said that she wanted to have president to visit China within 100 days. I'm hearing Trump not traveling outside the US in the next few months. Okay, that was because all the media, if you read the media reports in the West, starting with the Wall Street Journal, they're saying that Trump has told his people that he wanted to visit China within the 100 days of his presidency. I find that suspicious because if you really look at the language, I mean, it's not something Trump would be interested in. Within the 100 days of presidency is a typical CCP motivation or goal, because this is something that CCP leader would love to have, because if they could successfully get Trump to go to China within the first 100 days, then CCP will look good, or Xi Jinping will look good. So this kind of language is what CCP wants, not what Trump wants. I mean, Trump wants to do, he just wants results, right? And I don't think why does he want to go to China within the first 100 days? It just defies logic. So what I found out is it's actually a CCP objective. The CCP has made it their top priority to get Trump to go to China within the first 100 days. And it's willing to spend big money to get this done. And so now you know why the Wall Street Journal did that piece. I mean, it's scary to think, right? So CCP obviously paid a good chunk of money to get Western media to say this, because it doesn't make sense. Why would Trump want to go to China within the first 100 days of his, I think he's the type of leader, he's like, okay, I don't want to go anywhere. You guys come to me if you want to negotiate with me. He strikes me as that kind of a leader. So, but yeah, so it's scary to think that the Western media are really helping the CCP to push its narrative. So now you wonder why Google and YouTube are censoring criticisms about the CCP. That just shows you how much influence that Beijing has in the West. I always say this, but people underestimate CCP's influence in the West. Still today, if we say this 4 years ago, maybe, many people weren't aware, but today people should be aware, but they're still oblivious. That just shows you how much influence they have. That just shows you where their confidence comes from. Anyways, that's a long answer. Okay. From Galia, do you think Trump's withdrawal from WHO will have effect on Chinese government and power regarding epidemic accusations? I think the WHO doesn't do much. What has it done? I mean, with the amount of people they have, with the amount of budget they have, what have they done in terms of public health? They have not done anything. So, and then sometimes it's not just money. When you have people in your organization, in your company, who are not doing anything, it's not only a waste of money, even if you don't care about the money, but it wastes your time, because you need time to manage these people. You need to attend their meetings. You need to read their reports. So I think, I think, it does not provide any value. And now, actually, almost wanted to talk about the outbreak in China. I think the Chinese government has suddenly, finally admitted that there's a COVID outbreak in China right now. There is. They have been saying it's influenza A, but I think it was yesterday, they started to remind the local hospitals to test for COVID. And prior to that, they have denied people the opportunities to be tested for COVID. But now they're saying that people should be tested for COVID. So they're finally admitting it's a COVID outbreak. So there's a massive COVID outbreak. It's not influenza A. I hope our media, outlets do their due diligence and not mislead the public. So anyway. Trump today said he liked she a lot. He used past tense. But he said, yeah. I don't know the context, but does he still like him anymore? I think he's playing good cop and bad cop with Xi Jinping. We'll see what he does. But I think the tariff. Anyways, that's I think the dynamic duo is gonna present the world some very interesting maneuvers across the Pacific, and we should sit tight, tighten our seatbelt, and observe. I think it will be very playful across the Pacific. Boycott China. Sounder compromised. China Uncensored investigates. China Uncensored is a YouTube program. Sounder compromised? What's Sounder? Am I missing something? Sorry. Okay, Chris forwarded a question from Julius. I wish all American news was as in-depth as this. I wish so too. If they do that, I will retire. I'll be more than happy to do something else. I hope they do a good job. Okay, BF. Lei meant local officials in some provinces not paid for 3+ months due to low provincial income. I think they're being partially paid. Weren't they just given a pay raise by the central government? I think when you say not paid, I think it's just they're not getting a part of their pay, but they're still paid. I think the central government, the CCP, cannot afford not pay their officials, because these are the very people who are still holding the regime, holding the fortress together for the regime. If they lose the officials, then the regime will disintegrate overnight, right? So they're still relying on the officials and then the police to hold the pieces together. All right. Netflix foreign. Trump is going to be too busy handling problems in the US within the next 100 days. It will actually seem incredibly absurd to me. Yes, that's my assessment. So that's what I really question the source of Wall Street Journal's journalism. I mean, it just puts a big question on their journalism. They think that they could fool the public by saying that, according to sources from the Trump administration, Donald Trump has indicated his interest to visit China within 100 days of presidency. But people like me would know that it's not true. I mean, I don't have any access to the Trump team, But I know that this jargon, the very jargon, sounds like what Xi Jinping wants, right? So they can't fool people like us. The Wall Street Journal cannot fool me because it doesn't make sense. This is exactly what Xi Jinping wants, not what Donald Trump wants. So why doesn't the Wall Street Journal people do their homework? Anyways, it's very sad. People are paid with so much money. They have so much resources. And people like me, a lowly YouTuber, who works so hard trying to make a living here. And it's just, it just defies logic when you really think about it. All right. Did I just call myself a lowly YouTuber? All right. I should pat myself. I should give myself some reassurance. I'm not a lowly YouTuber. Daniel McGinnis, Connect Creator China. Connect Creator China. Update Tony clickbait. Is that a test to Lei's ability to comprehend English? Am I missing something? Sorry. Okay. All right. Peter, Jungle Tiger. 大白 must be rejoicing. They may get re-employed. Yeah, the big whites. I doubt that they will be back. I don't think the Chinese government still has the budget, as they did 2 years ago, to spend lavishly on mass testing. I don't think so. That's all. Oh, Sundar. Oh, yeah. Oh, the CEO of Google. That's right. Sorry. That's Sundar. I see. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. Good question. We should ask him. Why does your franchise, are so unfriendly to people who speak up against CCP? If somebody have access to him, we should ask him that question. Why? Tony, creator of China, updates regarding clickbait important T. I don't know how am I supposed to respond to that? I'm sorry, Daniel. I love the stickers, but I don't know how to respond to that. I'm so sorry. Okay, that's all. Oh, and another YouTube channel, East Rising, West Declining thumbnail. Like that look better, a little more sassy, but still professional. But you always look great. Yeah, I try to stay away from clickbait. I want to just, our thumbnail should say what it is. My program should give people substance. Because sometimes when I watch other YouTube channel, like they have very impressive thumbnail, and then you go through the whole program, they never answer that question, or they answer very little. They just barely scratch the surface, but they use a big title on the thumbnail, and I feel disappointed. So I try not to do that. When I say who's preparing to revolt, I want to give people a substantial answer. I want them to walk away with enough information to be able to talk about it. So, all right, that's all. Kiwi Green. Obama signed the Defense Authorization Act in 2013. Specifically, he repealed 1078, the Smith-Mundt Act, which forbid U.S. news organization from propagandizing, lying to the people. Oh, did it do anything? I don't think it did anything, or I don't think it does anything. Norbert Klaus, do you really believe that under the current situation, anybody really want to take over the reign in China? That's the problem. I think you point out a good the crisis right now. People within the upper echelon of CCP leadership do not want to do that. There may be ambitious people, but the ambitious people may not be the ones who have the capability or the support. But those people who have the support and also the name recognition don't want to do it. So it will be interesting to see. That's precisely the problem. A lot of people can take over if they want to, but they don't. They don't. So that's why Xi Jinping is still stuck in that position. I even think Xi Jinping doesn't care. I don't think he cares about that. He's had enough. But he has to do it because nobody wants it. And then the people under him, nobody believes that they can do it. Do you think Cai Qi can do it? No. Do you think Li Qiang can do it? No. I don't think those people, the other 6 people in the Politburo Standing Committee, can do it. So that's why he's still there. All right. Someone say you are CIA. If I wish that's the case. At least I'll be better compensated financially. All right. Okay, that's all. A moonwalker. I think you can do it. Do what? You think I can do what? I forgot what was I saying. From Levia 88. Livian, I don't know how to say. Livia Tan 88. If people try to overthrow the CCP, would it spark another civil war if CCP loyalists try to take back power? I don't think there will be a civil war because nobody believes in the CCP, the communist ideology anymore. Maybe except Xi Jinping. I think he's the one. He and Wang Huning probably still believe in the CCP, the communist ideology, but there aren't others. So how can they start a war if people don't believe in that, communism anymore? So I don't think there will be a civil war from that perspective with the CCP, but there will be power struggles for sure. But the power struggle, but the people fighting for the top position may be all against the CCP. Right? All right, that's all. I think I reached the bottom of the questions. I thank you very much for joining me, and I also thank everyone for giving me the colorful stickers and for encouraging me. And I apologize if I couldn't answer your questions or address your comments. But thank you very much. That's all. All right. Bye-bye.